Hi, this is Matt at State of Flux here with another 52-week movie challenge from Everyone's a Critic. We are on challenge number 43, a film set in a college. The movie I chose, Scream 2. Year released 1997, aspect ratio 2391, runtime 2 hours, genre horror, rated R, starring Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Jamie Kennedy, and Sarah Michelle Gellar. Directed by Wes Craven, produced by Dimension Films, written by Kevin Williamson with uncredited rewrites from Wes Craven. Music by Marco Beltrami. Awards received, it won the MTV Best Actress for Neve Campbell from MTV Movie Awards. Why did I choose this particular film? Originally, Randy in Scream 2, it's still Halloween spooky season, so I wanted to do a horror film, and Randy has that great monologue where he's rattling off all these horror films, slasher films set on campuses. And so I was looking through them online and started a movie or two, but I just couldn't get into them, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Why don't I just do Scream 2? My only reticence to do this is I wanted to do a full career breakdown of Wes Craven, and Scream 2 is very much a core of one of the movies of his career that I really want to talk about. So this is going to be much abbreviated. Have I seen this film before? Yes, many times. I even saw it theatrically for its 25th anniversary release 2 weeks ago in the theater. Would I recommend this film? Why or why not? Absolutely. This is one of my favorite sequels of all time. This is probably in my top 5 favorite sequels of all time. I think it is exceptional. It stands just almost shoulder to shoulder with that original film, which in and of itself is a masterpiece, and is brilliant. The reason I ultimately chose this film is because I started watching films like The House That Dripped Blood and Sorority Row and Splatter University. I didn't watch Graduation Day or Final Exam because I'd seen them in the past. I think I'd seen House on Sorority Row in the past as well. A lot of these films, even though they're set on like in universities and stuff like that, don't really provide much of the college experience. I chose this film because Scream 2 does. We see Randy and Sydney in high school and get an idea of their high school experience. Now we get a full idea of what their college experience is like. And you actually do get a taste of the college experience. You have pledging, you have the dorm experience, you have 2 classes that these kids go to. Randy goes to a film class and Sydney goes to a drama class, or at least drama practice for a performance that she's in. But you kind of get a taste of what their experiences are, how they're shared, how they're different. And that's not to mention all the other characters that you get on the college campus. So I think this is a very good film to do that. This also is set like at Windsor College. They make full utilization of a whole college atmosphere, which I really appreciated. So that's sort of why. This film is great for a multitude of reasons. Most horror films, specifically within the slasher genre, will continue on the movie. You might have a survivor show up in the sequel, oftentimes to get killed in the opening scene. I'm looking at you, Friday the 13th Part 2. Or if you have the survivor characters, they're subservient to the story. The main plot is tracking the killer. I'm looking at you, Halloween 2. And this doesn't really do that. This is kind of an anti-slasher film in the sense that the characters are first and foremost. And not only are the characters first and foremost, this film has at least one scene for each of those characters that is purely there to provide character growth, character depth, and character analysis. How they've grown, how they've changed. This is not something you see in horror films just in general, but specifically with the slasher genre. This is unheard of. You have the scene where Sydney, like, you see her in her dorm setting, hanging out with her friend, and then all of a sudden the darkness turns and she finds out that there's more murders. I'm going to touch on the murders in a bit, the opening murders. And then she goes dark. She has her meet up with Dewey. We meet her new boyfriend, how she goes immediately to Randy for her support system. But then we get the college scene of her hanging out with her professor after she knows there are more deaths that have happened. There's a copycat out there, and she can't escape her trauma, and she can't let it fall by the wayside. It's through that conversation with that professor, which is just my favorite scene in the movie, where he kind of provides Sydney with the one thing that she is going to be known for the rest of the series. She is a fighter. She is a survivor. And she says it, "I'm a fighter." And he goes, "I don't believe you." And then she looks at him very sincerely and says, "I'm a fighter." And that is the moment that Sydney transcends. She is going to be a fighter, and she is going to be a survivor throughout the entire rest of the franchise thus far. And I hope it maintains that. We have Randy, who, when he's introduced, he is here to talk to us about films, how sequels are lesser. But he gets into a core of something that is kind of unique and interesting, the idea of cinema violence and its effects on society. They're debating this. Mickey says that the killer is taking what the people did in Woodsboro, which is immortalized on film, and reenacting it. Then you have Cece, who's saying, no, you can't blame real life violence on entertainment. And then Randy falls in the middle. He experienced it, and he knows the dangers of cinema violence and the complexities of showcasing and normalizing this violence, but he also doesn't think that that is solely responsible for the actions that take place. So he kind of gets into the thesis of what the film is ultimately going to tackle. Then we have Dewey and Gale. Most of their scenes sprinkled throughout the film, their little budding love story, is incredibly strong and incredibly beautiful, and it is all pure character growth, character depth. And the scene with Randy and Dewey where they explain the rules has much more going on. They're talking about what happened in Woodsboro, their love scars, their actual scars, why Dewey has a limp. This is a film that also has a spontaneous musical number that's not a musical. And I challenge you to find another movie where that is done, a spontaneous musical number, that is done better than in this film. It says everything you need to know about Derek's character. It sets up where he's going, ultimately why he gets kind of kidnapped and taken out of the story for a long period of time. It is a beautiful moment of sincerity, and it's great. The killer in this film is also exceptionally well done and ties into the meta-narrative of who's responsible for violent actions in our society. This film kind of lands on a very specific place with that. Needless to say, I think this movie is phenomenal. It is one of my all-time favorite movies. And it came out on a stacked year. That movie is just great. But as I say, I want to do a long-form review of this film sometime. I might even do like an audio commentary for this, because I have so much to say about Scream and Scream 2. So I'm going to move on. Which character were you most able to identify with or connect with, and in what way? That would be Randy Meeks. When I saw Scream in 1996, I was blown away with the character of Randy, because I'd never seen myself so wholly represented on film. I was the little movie nerd that watched things and started seeing similarities and flaws and stuff like that. Before then, there were characters that I very much responded to. I was a big fan of Johnny Cage in the original Mortal Kombat, and I was a big fan of Venkman in Ghostbusters, and a handful of other characters here and there. But Scream became an obsession because of the character of Randy. His utilization in Scream 2 is pitch perfect. He is exceptional, he is wonderful, he is great, and I love him and I love his character. And it all summed up with, I would let the geek get the girl, and then he leaves. He's so great. Best line or most memorable quote, I like that one. Isn't Mickey supposed to be dead? I think is quite great. There's a lot of quotes in this movie that I like, and I'll touch on that later, or some other time. If you attend college, did this film resemble your college life? If so, how? Yeah, I've taken film classes and current event classes where we discussed the nature of violence in cinema and how it reflects. So that whole conversation I have had in college courses. And so, yeah, there's that. The dorm life experience of Sydney seemed pretty authentic. I know people who've pledged for sorority and or fraternity, and that seemed really on the nose. The whole party that they throw seems very real. The look of the college, the setting, everything seems real, and being involved with some drama and stuff in college, that all spoke very authentic to me. Would I attend this college? Why or why not? Yeah, it looks like an awesome film and drama college, and yeah, I would totally go. Anything else I would like to add? A lot of people ding Scream 2 for its redundant opening. Yeah, Scream established a set of tropes after it was picking tropes apart. Scream 2 had to lean into those tropey things because once you commit to the premise of a Scream, you kind of fall into the opening scene is going to be kind of like this. So you know exactly what's going to happen with the opening scene right when you start watching the movie. However, Wes Craven turns that camera back on the audience quite literally. The opening scene takes place in a movie theater, begging the audience to take a moment of reflection of what you are watching. This woman dies in front of an entire audience that's cheering and raving while watching essentially the reenactment of the opening scene of the first film, knowing that the audience is back for a second one because they enjoyed that first movie. And he asks you to take a moment to think about what you are watching, the reality of this moment. Jada Pinkett kills it in that scene. She is so good as she lays dying for the whole audience and cries and looks into our eyes as we do so, or as she does so, as she dies. And it is a moment of brilliance that I think is not often commented on. People just talk about the tropey nature of Scream 2, which, yeah, it does fall into the tropes that Scream established. However, every time it does, Wes makes you take a moment of reflection to go along with that. The amount of the stuff this movie wants to say about family, about psychosis, about media and its effects of violence, and including the slasher film genre itself, is all there. It's subtext, and if all that you have to do is just pay attention, and this movie has quite more to say than you'd expect. It is a layered film that I think gets better with repeated viewings. That said, it's not perfect. The killers and where they are at any given time gets a little bit questionable, and who does what isn't as tight as that first film, and there's a couple of moments of like, that couldn't possibly happen here and there. But by and large, if you were able to look past those small flaws, this movie is almost shoulder to shoulder with that first one. I didn't talk about the exceptional performance of Timothy Olyphant, Laurie Metcalf. They're great. Liev Schreiber is amazing in this film. Every cast member across the board is so good. I love the character of Derek. Jerry O'Connell does great things walking that edge of is he good or is he bad? Anyway, I could talk about Scream 2 forever, and someday I will. And I hope that you watch when I do a commentary for that at some point. Anyway, I'm going to move on to challenge number 44, a film that has won Best Music or Original Score. Okay, I will try to find something fun for that. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Let me know, what's your favorite Scream sequel? For me, unequivocally, it is Scream 2. Though I do think all the movies in the franchise thus far are good. Some are better than others. This one I think is the best sequel. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and have a happy Halloween. Hopefully you're watching this. Halloween should be tomorrow, I think, when this uploads. Thanks for watching. Bye.